Howdy folks, and welcome to the version 7 update of Minecraft Flight Simulator. Now normally I'd end up just saying what's up with the updates by throwing text all over the forum pages, but this time I figured I'd give a video. Why? Because this is a visual update. Now the first thing you might notice is that I'm actually using a halfway decent texture pack. This is because I have a halfway decent computer. But enough about that. Let's get on to the updates. So, the first update you have for version 7 is an electrical system for the planes. As you can see down there with that little gauge there, you have your current battery level and your current power usage. Now, obviously you're not using any power because you don't have any lights on, so let's fix that. There we go. As you can see, I've already went and fixed the HUD so it's now light sensitive, and you got a couple of cool little gauge lights on everything. So, let's get the engine started up. As you saw, starting the engines takes electricity, which makes sense because you're running an electric starter. Another thing that also takes electricity is the brand new landing light system for planes. Instead of just being a texture, the landing lights actually light up part of the runway. Makes it easier to land and also easier to see where you're going. Now all these lights are nice and everything, but as I said before, you have an electrical system. As you can see right now, the needle is a hair below the zero, and as a result, the current amount of voltage you have in the system is going down. Lights and stuff, or especially running starters, cause the electrical system to lose juice. So if I was to go and run the starters even more, see, it brings the electrical current amount of voltage down. What happens if you get into the red? Essentially, your electrical system fails. Now, if I was to, I don't know, maybe leave the lights on the plane when I went somewhere else, you can see they're dimmer because there's not as much juice to power them, and there we go. So, let's say I left the lights on. I go to get in my plane. Obviously, you can't start it. The battery is dead. So, what do? Same thing you do anytime your battery's dead. Jump start it. As you can see, you aren't really generating enough juice to power everything, hence the lights flickering on and off. So the first thing you want to do when this happens is turn your lights off. Now, lights are currently bound to the in key. Shift in turns the landing lights on and off, and the regular in key turns the interior lights on and off. Now, since we have no electricity, obviously the lights aren't going to turn on, and you can't really run the starter on the other engines and expect them to start up, so we're going to have to start them by hand. Or I can run out of fuel. Let's fix this. And start the engines again. Come on. There we go. As you can see, it's a kind of a pain to have the engines run out of electricity to start them with. There we go. So, now we have some engines running, we're getting electricity. As you can see, when the engines run, they generate electricity, as of course. So there we are. But the amount of electricity you generate depends on the speed of the engines. As you can see right now, they're not going too fast, so you're not generating much electricity. In fact, if you let them go too slow, you're actually going to lose electricity. So, you just go and speed them up a hair. And boom! So now we're generating more. Of course, you can't just keep them full throttle to generate electricity because you have temperature. So you're going to have to sort of measure the amount of throttle you give them in order to make sure that they behave themselves. So let's take this guy out for a test spin. Before the engines start to overheating themselves. Come on, come on. Okay, so I ended up falling down. And, oh yes. The second feature that I put in is the ability to have the plane plow through leaves and snow. Unfortunately, this itself is snow, and so I ended up plowing a hole in the runway. Not the best thing. So let's fix that. Take the wheel off, get him out of the hole first. Come on. Yeah. There we are. Okay. Put the wheels back on. As you can see, it's a pain to make your plane fall in holes, so I don't recommend you do it. There we go. Let's try this again. Okay, that's a little bit worse, but somewhat better. So as you can see, I keep on wiggling around. That's because I have the wing aileron trim on. The third update I've done is make trim for the aircraft. So, by holding down the shift key and pressing the appropriate control surface button, you can edit the trim. So let me get this sucker trimmed out to 0. Or maybe not. Slow it down. Then trim out the stabilizer to 0. There we are. Anywho, so, enough about that. Let's go check on another plane. Which was the one I put over here somewhere. There we are. So, while the tri-motor might have landing lights, other planes, which include the Vulcanair and the MC-172, have other lights. Specifically, they have little strobe lights on them now. Note that the tri-motor is old, so it doesn't have it, and the PZLP-11 is a daytime fighter aircraft, so it doesn't even have instrument lights nor landing lights. But both this one and the Vulcanair have little strobe lights that go along. And as you can also see, the texture's changed on this one because that's the way it works. So, again, can fire this guy up. Well, again, if I remember to fuel my aircraft, I might be able to do something with them. Anyhow. There we go. Okay, so now that I'm doing that, set game mode to survival, because there are a few changes here as well. So, one of the first changes to survival is damages. Now, instead of just having to deal with the plane exploding and you getting hurt, if you crash into something, you'll get damage from the crash as well. The death message is also a little different, so let's see if I can just kill myself by crashing a plane. Okay, so I'm back now. Let's see if we can actually crash a plane after I've made it so it's faster. So, need a plane, need a seat, need a few wheels, maybe another wheel might be a good idea. Engine, propeller. Okay. There we are. So as you can see, I'm moving a lot faster now, which should help me inflict more damage to myself. There we go. So, as you can see, I clearly died in a plane crash. So, anywho, other than the new gauges and stuff like that, there isn't too much new. About the only other thing that's new is the new configurations menu. In order to make it easier for y'all to sort of pick out what does what, I've added a few extra things to the config menu. Here you have your basic keys like pitching up, yaw, throttle, flaps, brakes, the new light key, everything else. Keyboard 2 is mainly for the modifiable keys, such as the camera lock and the modifier key. As you can see, you take the modifier key and another key and you get a whole nother control for either roll trim, pitch trim, yaw trim, brakes, auxiliary lights, everything else. It's a little bit more descriptive than the previous system. You can also change config things in here, such as whether or not the altimeter displays 0 at 64 or at 0, whether or not you want the electric starter to be enabled, and this one is if you set your throttle on a joystick to 0, will it actually set the throttle to 0 and kill the engine? Planning to add other configurations options down here as the time goes on, but we'll see how much that is. Other than that, that's about it for this update. I will see you at update number 9. This is Don, signing off.